All our viewers have perhaps seen the tanks operating in the field, tanks firing, various videos of tanks operations in various settings across the world, maybe even in the Indian context. But what we are going to show you is something that perhaps is not very common, and that is how a tank is repaired, maintained, overhauled, and even stripped and completely refurbished in an army facility. And we are at the 505 Army Base Workshop in New Delhi, which is entrusted with repairing tanks, the main battle tank T90, as we are going to see. And taking us around is the man in charge of this base workshop, Brigadier Ashish Johar, who's the man responsible for Indian Army's new program for refurbishing the T90s, apart from doing their midlife repairs as they do in the field. So thank you very much for your time, Brigadier, and I'm sure we'll have an interesting tour of the facility.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go.
At the outset, welcome Nitin to this facility. In fact, as you rightly brought out, this is the only facility in the Indian Army which is undertaking overhaul and rebuild of tanks.
Right.
And tanks, as you are aware, the main battle tanks of the what are held. We have T-72s, we have the T-19s, we have the Arjuns now.
Sure.
We've been taking on for last almost 20 years T-72s.
Right.
And this year we started the first overhaul of tank T-90, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And historically, this workshop has been overhauling all varieties of tanks, starting from Stuarts, Churchills, Centurions,
sure,
and we've supported all wars, whatever the armoured formations required. Base repair facility, overall facility. We had a major role in Vijayantas. That was almost for 20 years we did Vijayantas, the first Indian manufactured MBT.
That's right.
And then we graduated to T-72.
I saw some board outside as I was entering. 1940 onwards, you've been doing
it's almost eight decades. 80 years
decades.
this workshop has been supporting the field army and the armoured formations for the punch. Because when a tank goes from my workshop, it is as good as a new tank, and when it comes, it's done a lot of exploitation.
Absolutely. So we would wonderful to see how you do it.
So like I mentioned.
Yeah.
So when a tank is a major weapon platform.
Absolutely.
And it has a life of almost 30 to 40 years, which is supposed to be exploited.
Right.
And in this life, you need to have a scheduled intervention, which is a medium reset and an overhaul. So we do the overall part here, and it requires to undergo this overall because after getting exploited, even in high altitude, in snow leopard and the deserts, it undergo a lot of exploitation and the wearing of the systems happen.
Sure.
So out here we rebuild the entire tank from the scratch and make sure that all systems are upgraded, refurbished and functioning as a new tank. So presently, presently you are in the overall bay number 1.
Right.
We received the tank in a class 5 state. Class 5 is the last stage of its classification. And moment the tank is received, we start stripping it. This is the stripping assembly. As you can see around, the tanks are now, the tanks are there. This is the one which has been received now.
Okay, this is an engine, right?
This is an engine. So this tank has been stripped, the hull. This portion we call as the hull.
Right.
And if you see back, there's the turret. So first
That's
action
the
is to
turret.
separate the hull and turret.
Okay.
And then we disassemble the entire tank into almost 8,000 sub-components.
8,000?
8,000 plus, there's a small figure.
Right.
It's like a small that mechanic nut bolt.
Okay.
So we tag, we check the components, and then we start rebuilding all these 8,000 components.
So for each of these activity, each of this process, you will have specialists who have been trained on this?
Yes. So what is the way we build our skill sets is we train on the job.
Right.
Any new recruit coming in, any new civilian worker coming in, it's trained on a particular task till he becomes an expert.
Right.
At present, you see they are removing the components one by one.
So this is the chassis. Can we go on the other
Yeah,
side?
we can go slowly. So as you can notice now that the tank, when it is opened up, you see there's whole lot of grime, these nuts, bolts, they're all coming out one by one.
Yeah, sure.
Everything is catered for.
Correct.
And I'll be showing you how it is cleaned up because on this very hull, I have to make a new tank.
Right.
So the
so the hull, of course, is the base.
is the base.
On which
Is the
it
chassis
done.
of the some kind of a chassis of a vehicle. The hull goes and the complete rebuild happens on the hull.
Sure. So all this has been taken out from this.
Of course, this is
particular thing.
the blower fan. This is one of the replenishment tanks.
Right.
All are taken out one by one. These are major assemblies. We
Right.
classify them as major. This is a tank has 3 gearboxes.
Okay.
Unlike a normal
a car.
vehicle. So one on either side. These
Right.
are called the side gearboxes.
Yeah.
And one which is connected. This is the intermediate gearbox. One which connects to the engine. So
Okay.
engine drives come to the gearbox.
This one.
It distributes it to left and right. And that's why the tank is able to have a 0 turning radius. It can turn on its axis.
Oh, it can turn like
Because,
this 360 degrees.
On its
On its axis.
the 0 turning radius.
Yeah,
It doesn't require any place. So
Okay.
that's because of the 2 side gearboxes. So this is
Oh.
the way the entire stripping is done.
Right.
And once and all, including cables, you can see the torsion bars.
Yeah,
So
I
this is
see.
my stripping bay, so which we call stripping and degreasing bay.
Right.
And if the next immediate process is that, and similar thing, you can notice the turrets.
Right.
The turrets are taken out, the turret assemblies are taken out, the
Okay.
cabling is completely removed and
Right.
Replaced.
Okay, so this turret has all these cables
Yes,
coming
this is
down
all.
like
This is all the complete armament
Right.
goes inside the turret. And as you see on the far end,
Right.
that is the second process. After it is stripped,
Uh-huh.
the hull has to be. If you can see a hull inside, that is the T90 hull,
Right.
which is being degreased.
Okay, so all the oil, the grime,
Exactly.
the dust, everything is
The
taken
grime
out.
which has been accumulated over 20 years of exploitation, inside, outside, every small hole of the tank, it is cleaned. It's a
Can we go there?
Yeah, we can show.
And this is the turret, like you can see all these.
So this all are this all
these
the cables. All the cables are removed and replaced.
Right.
Because they live their life.
But the barrel remains like attached to the turret.
No, barrel
Also is removed. We'll be
100
going there.
We'll be going there. We'll
Right,
be going. Everything is removed.
Okay.
Everything is first prepared for rebuild,
Right.
and then the rebuild action takes
Okay,
place.
and what are these?
These are the ammunition cassettes. These are the what is there where the ammunition is stored inside the tank. They are
Okay.
right below the turret of the tank.
Okay. And this is the degreasing.
So
and-
now we can see it's a caustic treatment which is happening. It's a caustic soda,
Sure.
and we run it over a particular time frame.
And it's like it's done with force. It's
It's a
done with-
jet. It's a jet.
jet.
It's there's an underground sump. It is heated to almost 100 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
And then it is for the actually the doors are closed. Just for showing you this has been opened.
No, no,
otherwise,
okay. Yeah.
otherwise this is
It's
a closed
thing.
process.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the way the main
So it
assembly.
becomes absolutely clean
I'll
and
just-
new. Huh, okay.
Because what is required is that we require to rebuild on this part.
Sure.
On this chassis, if I have to fit a new component, it
Right.
has to be the machined surface has to be visible.
Yeah, so you can see all this, you know.
So now this will go.
This
This
grime,
is-
this will go. This will
this
go
will go
there.
inside.
It will go inside. So all this will be
Everything
removed.
everything will be removed.
Right.
So this is a stage where it has come out.
Okay.
So this was
So it's
done.
cleaned.
It is cleaned. It
Yeah.
is every small portion. If you can, this is what the tank actually looks like once it is stripped.
Yeah.
You can see not even a single component is inside the tank.
It's only the basis, the chassis kind
It's
of
a
a thing.
pure chassis, and
Yeah.
it is all these places have to be clean machined because we have a process of measuring the machining. Whether it is cleaned, it is measured whether the
Right.
new assembly will fit on it or not. So it
Okay.
is measured. I'll be showing you that.
I
also.
see. Okay. So, but what is the weight, all up weight of the tank when it's completely?
It is 40 tons plus.
40 tons plus. Okay. But this is such solid metal.
It is armor.
It's armor, yeah,
It's armor.
exactly.
It's armor plating. It's
Yeah.
one of the heaviest materials.
I'm sure.
So what I'll show you now
Right.
is how we now that the assemblies have been taken
Sure,
out.
yeah.
Now the major assemblies have been
Okay.
taken out.
Right.
They have to be rebuilt.
Right.
And everything is done within the workshop premises. It's
Okay.
a totally self-sustained workshop.
Okay.
So what we are coming to is we have deputy general managers, my officers who are trained in this very equipment.
Right.
They are trained in their courses and they are supervising the complete repair in the workshop.
I see.
So this particular department undertakes the overall of the gearboxes. I mentioned that
Yes,
it is
you
taken out.
mentioned, yes.
So this you can see here. This is a side gearbox.
Okay.
Each side
So
there
those two you said there are
exactly
one each.
and this is the most compact gearbox ever designed by a designer for a AFB. It is the most compact. It's hydraulically controlled. Contains 400 plus subcomponents inside this.
Inside. Okay.
So I can see on the on your right,
Okay.
each subcomponent is stripped right from the last nut and bolt.
Right.
They are checked. Like Rita is a foreman.
Hello.
She is the QA, the
Quality
internal
assurance.
column. So she measures each component whether it is fit to be fitted
Right.
or to be replaced. So
Okay.
that's her job. We got
So if it is exploited, say, to the maximum or even beyond, sometimes some parts would have got worn out
Absolutely.
completely, then you will replace them.
that is her job.
That's her job. Okay.
She's got the measuring instrument. She
Right.
knows what are the tolerances. She measures the gears. She
Right.
measures the dimensions. If it is beyond the dimension, it has to be replaced. We've got a replacement. We've got a storehouse. We've got a
Okay.
warehouse for that.
Right.
We do our warehousing 1 year in advance.
Okay.
So this is the way the rebuild starts.
So all of them start.
So
and
it is-
those standards are laid out.
We have got our standards
Right.
which are laid down over a lot of experiences that
Correct.
what called tolerances are feasible.
Yeah, yeah.
So apart from the first step, that is the first step I mentioned, the quality is one of
Sure.
the main things which we.
Absolutely.
So how a gear, a single gear, how it meshes with another gear.
Uh-huh.
And
that is
as
also
works as
important.
subsystem, like these are 3 gears, they were checked individually there.
There, okay.
Whether it is okay, if found not okay, they were replaced.
Right.
But how do they mesh and with this final drive assembly?
Okay.
That Satish will check.
Right.
He checks this, he checks how they are measured.
So with
Satish,
this,
सर ये फाइनल ड्राइव है, तीनों गियरों का हम तीनों का बैकलेस चेक करते हैं सर
जी।
जो कि सर 0.15 से 0.75 के mm के बीच में होना चाहिए सर।
we are checking
उसके
up to
बाहर
mic-
जाए तो फिर वो
तो
नहीं
reject
काम
we are
होता है
checking
सर।
up to micron level.
जैसे
माइक्रोन
जैसे सर देखो ये ऐसे इसमें दिखाया ना, देखो जैसे ये 43 आ रहा है सर।
अच्छा
It is 0.4 mm.
ये करेक्ट है सर।
तो ये इसको ऐसे वो
ऐसे जीरो हो गया सर, ये देखो ये।
अच्छा अच्छा
So that backlash, that is acceptable.
that is acceptable.
So this is the second stage. After that, this is started. We assemble
going there, right.
and then we
Thank you.
Then we actually test it on an automated test machine.
That's what. So ultimately the machine comes in there.
Of course.
But the human intervention is extremely important also.
Absolutely, because if the human intervention is not there, we will not know what he joined.
That's right,
But
yeah.
after it comes here, like this is the intermediate gearbox.
Okay.
This is a machine which we
been
have
put on to-
This is an imported machine. We got it from the OEM almost a decade back.
Right.
And every component every gearbox is put on through a test stand. If you can take your attention here,
Sure.
we've got a monitoring system wherein we run 10 tests
Okay.
in a cycle of 40 minutes.
So this is all mentioned
Exactly.
here. Yeah.
And the pass fail is determined by the machine.
Okay. So yeah, so basically you get, so here you're saying some of them have failed,
Failed.
some of them are okay.
Exactly.
Right.
So once the machine tells that okay, it's passed or failed, if it fails, it goes back for rework.
Okay.
But after it passes the test here, it is fit for use.
Yes,
In
certainly.
fact, that is the importance of these machines.
Correct.
So these are all automated without any human intervention.
Right.
They run for their repair cycle
Correct.
and then test the machine and then take it out.
I see. Okay.
So this is the way other transmission. We got side gearboxes.
I'm sure, yeah.
All machines are here. We can all
Yeah, sort
all
of.
assemblies are tested and
I
then
got
fitted.
that. Yeah. So, but I like your, the motto.
That is
work with
about-
passion, deliver with pride.
Of course.
This is something that all of us should strive for. Really.
So this is so this is the mechanical portion
Right.
which I showed you.
Correct.
So such there are almost 200 assemblies in the tank.
Sure.
Some are mechanical, some are electronics.
Right.
So while the mechanical portions are checked for dimension, the electronic portion, the
Has to
fire
be
control,
tested.
they have to be tested for their accuracy. Because
Absolutely.
in a tank, the single shot kill probability, SSKP,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
they call, is achieved by the fire control system.
Sure.
And the fire control system has lot of electronics. The T90 has more than T72, but
Sure.
even T72, the barrel, the pointing of the barrel, the sighting, everything has to be checked for their basic standards.
I get it.
So now I'll be showing you that. Yes. So you'll notice one odd tank here is
Yeah,
without a turret.
Uh-huh.
In fact, this is a crucial stage of rebuild, wherein we run a turretless tank.
Right.
Because if you see,
Okay.
once you put the turret, the space gets very constricted.
Okay.
So whatever my mechanical,
whatever testing
whatever
that you
mechanical
will do.
check, but the linkages, the
Right.
testing pipeline, it is all accessible.
Right.
I can recheck, rebuild at this stage. This is a very, so this we call it a semi-final
Okay.
of the tank. If it passes the semi-final, no
Sure,
leakage is
no
going to happen.
leakage.
Now after that I can put
Put the turret, which can be just put onto it, juxtaposed on it. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, wonderful.
So like the mechanical component,
Right.
we have the electronic component group. My DGM Colonel Divakar, he's done his MTech from IIT Tirupati, and he is in charge of the complete repair section of
Right.
the electronics.
Okay.
We'll go left. So, like I mentioned, the tank has a whole lot of electronic components.
Right.
this is a complete facility. Each repair section or table
Right.
has a particular component which is to be rebuilt. It is checked. They've got the circuit diagrams.
Okay.
They check it as per the circuit diagram, test it for serviceability,
Okay.
and if required, even undertake component level repair. Like the ladies.
Also, the circuit is being.
Yes. So she knows which thing to be checked. There's a test sequence. Whatever is to be done with the multimeter
Right.
as per the diagram, and if required, even soldering of the components.
Okay. So it's all done here, then tested again.
Of course, these are test stand. Once
Right.
it passes the stage, then it
Right.
is fed to the.
Then it's sent, okay.
So this is the electronic
So these are
subsection.
component level repair.
So this is a new facility which has come up now.
I
It's
see.
this component level repair facility of tank T90, which we are in a process of establishing from with the help of Russians.
Oh, I see.
So this is what is done is not just the assembly, but each sub component is checked. We do a troubleshooting, so we are able to retrieve the component. We don't have to replace the component by just replacing one circuit board, and we can increase the longevity.
Right, but earlier, I mean, this is what the Russians have agreed recently.
Yes.
Earlier, they used to be sent there, or you know,
A new assembly is to
new
come.
assembly is to come straight away
Straight
without
away.
you know.
So assembly may be costing say 10
X,
lakhs or something,
whatever,
but one PCB would be just in few thousands.
Right.
If I can replace the PCB, in fact, Colonel Kapil, he's trained in Russia,
Hi.
and he's looking after this facility.
Hello.
So
Acha, okay.
what you can see now, she's been trained in the testing of one of the components.
Okay.
Now the component is not just electronic; it is runs through the software of troubleshooting.
Sure.
So we got these test equipments. It is each circuit board, as you see now, there are around 10 odd circuit boards.
13 circuit.
So
13
each
circuit boards.
each circuit board is tested. It is connected through this automated test equipment. A troubleshooting is run, and it passes this component as it's
Oh.
fit for its functionality and the level of voltages and amperes which is supposed to be.
Right. So the entire, you know, the passing of the current and everything is tested.
It's tested through this facility, because this particular component is the brain of the fire control system.
Okay.
So if that fails, the brain fails, so then nothing will run.
That's right. Yeah.
So it
There'll be no firing. Yeah.
it
obviously.
simulates everything which is there in the tank in this small facility.
Okay.
So that is the way we check at each sub-component level.
And these have come from the OEMs.
They will come from the OEM.
Yeah,
You can
so
see the
there's
Russian
marking there.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and these are what, batteries? No.
So this is the component. This is a K1 component which has got those 13 odd circuit
Oh,
boards. So
I
one
see.
by one,
They're-
each will
they're
be
inside.
tested. They will
I
be
see.
opened up.
Right.
We open them up, take out the components, and start testing them.
Yeah, their look is like a battery. Car battery.
Each component is pretty heavy in a
I'm
tank.
sure.
The minimum weight being 50
If you're
kgs.
talking about 40 tons, then obviously all of these add to it. Right? So engines have a shelf life, right?
Yeah, so a new engine is supposed to run a minimum of 700 hours in a T72,
Right.
and 600 in case of a T90. And some run more, some run less because of whatever exploitation, because in high altitude
Sure.
the rarefied atmosphere affects the engine life.
Correct.
And after the engine runs its life, it is conditioned,
Okay.
it is fed back. I do the overall of T72. I am also undertaking the T90 from
Right.
next year. So these are the places where rebuild the engine also with a lesser shelf life, because all these engines have certain scope of rebuilding.
Naturally.
We can't replace every engine because the inventory is so huge.
And you said engines are also now manufactured or
Yes,
done in India.
OEM is EFA Avdi.
Right.
So they manufacture T90, BMP, all engines, all AFV armored fighter vehicle engines are manufactured at their facility.
I see.
They've got a license from the
And
OEM.
obviously Russian engines, Russian origin
Russian, manufactured now in the country.
in the country.
So
we are-
now that you've seen the facility, so
those
we
two.
we showed you the stripping,
Right.
every component being
And
taken out.
tested and-
Now the component themselves have been rebuilt, the electronic component, the mechanical component, they are rebuilt,
Right.
and they are now going to be assembled in a proper assembly line
Oh,
function.
okay. So there'll be a sequence of doing
Yes,
that.
so that is very important. Another thing which is there, which is a very important component, is the armament subsystem.
Okay.
The gun portion.
Naturally.
So that is, we got 27 sub-assemblies which had to be tested. This is the armament section. And each sub-assembly, if you
Right.
take your attention,
Sure.
it's got a separate table. Like in case of the
The electronics or
so
any
everything
other
is tested, checked at a sub-component level. And then we check them as a system.
one. Right.
Like this is the laying mechanism.
Okay.
The rammer,
Of
the
the-
charge laying mechanism test bench. So it is tested whether this is functioning,
This
not
one.
functioning.
Okay.
You'll see the fitted portion also.
Sure. Sure. So these are all the machinery that you've got. I mean, for over the years you've
We've rebuilt. We've established because we started the overall of T72 in 2003.
Okay.
We did the pilot overall.
Right.
And then we started regular overall from 2005. So it's almost 20 years of
and
experience.
so many spares you have to keep.
Exactly. This is spare stores because everything is required at the short notice. So as you can see now, this is this what is in front of you is the test jig for the testing the parameters of the gun.
Okay.
So what is tested here? You see the gun which is mounted.
Right.
This is again ex-import OEM machine, wherein we check the entire parameters of the gun, whether the recoil is functioning properly, or the alignment of the gun is being done properly. He'll just show you, demonstrate how the entire test is done.
Okay.
You'll see the notice. It's a air compressor. There's a pull. There's a pull. If you can come straight, there will be a big noise.
Right.
So the pull is happening, and the entire is depicting a round fired.
Okay.
And now there's a cartridge which is going to come out, a dummy cartridge.
I see.
It is supposed to be caught.
Oh,
And exactly by the you see if it is caught, that means everything is aligned. So this simulates a recoil.
Simulates a recoil.
Kind of a simulator. And if you notice now that cartridge nikal. So this is a dummy cartridge. And this has been caught. This was when the tank fires, it fires with a closed cupola.
Sure.
And the round goes, but the cartridge,
has to come back.
This is the machine which catches the cartridge and extricate from the tank. So it has to be aligned properly because everything is opened
because
up.
it's so small to
Exactly.
come out.
Yes, so this has to go through the hatch.
Yeah.
So that complete mechanism is checked on this machine.
I see. So it has to be very precise.
Very, very precise. It's in mm. The dimensions are in mm.
Correct, because it will just go through smoothly. Only then it will work.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it will get stuck somewhere.
Earlier it gets stuck and fall down and cause a fire in the tank.
Correct. And the crew will be in danger.
Yes, because crew is sitting right next to it.
right here, exactly. So that is a very crucial component.
Yes.
And so every barrel is tested for this.
Every barrel. Every barrel. It is tested as a barrel separately. Barrel is separate. The entire mechanism. That's called an armament subsystem.
Sure.
So the recoil system, the armament system, the catching mechanism, everything is assembled as a system. Then it is tested. At the far end, you can see there's a tanks which are being inspected. The inner bore is checked.
Right.
Whether any is required to replace, so we replace the barrels also. So that is another process which is done.
Of course.
Once all the subsystems are joined, like I mentioned, the tank turret has to be put on the chassis, the hull. So a thing which connects them is called a race ring. This is called race ring.
Oh, okay.
So this has to be
based on this. The turret will be
exactly 70 plus ball bearing which are there. This connects. The upper rotates with the turret and the lower is fixed.
And the turret is like
360 degrees. So that is the way this integration is done.
So it will be put onto this.
We first fix this and put the turret on top. All these, wherever you see these holes, these are one ball bearing comes up and it is rotating on a bearing. So, before we start fixing these assemblies on a tank, we require to prepare and ensure all our chassis, hulls and turrets are of the correct dimensions.
Correct.
What you can see on this side is after that degreasing, the hull has come here.
Right.
You can see the pink color is a dye penetration test which we do.
Oh, I see.
So any welds which are cracked, we rebuild the weld because it will change the color.
Naturally.
So any color change, we rebuild the weld.
Okay.
Whatever these dimensions are written here, they are the dimensions which, because in this very orifice, a new assembly will go.
Right.
There is axle arm, torsion arm. So if it has gone beyond the dimensions, he is presently filling molten metal.
I see.
It has gone beyond the dimension.
Okay.
So after filling the metal, he will grind it to this particular dimension.
I see. So how will you grind it? There is a grinding machine.
Grinding machine. So that is a grinding machine. So he'll
just keep doing that.
Yes. Okay. Till the time he is a QA, he checks it with a device. If it is meeting the dimension which is written for this tank, then it passes.
तो कितना टाइम लगता है ये करने में? अगर वो डायमेंशन में आने में, अगर डायमेंशन वैसा नहीं है और ये कर रहे हैं,
आधा दिन 2 घंटे मिनिमम होगा.
2 घंटे मिनिमम होगा.
काफी टेढ़ा काम है.
Because these are all in mm, 128.5.
ये क्या है? अच्छा.
This is a grinding wheel.
Oh, अच्छा. And then so it comes to this.
And this is the molten. This is granular metal which we fill.
Okay. हाँ वो कर रहे हैं. उसमें से उसमें डाल रहे हैं, फिर उसके बाद ग्राइंडिंग करेंगे.
Absolutely.
अच्छा.
स्ट्रेट वाला नहीं।
अच्छा, okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
So now, after this, another thing is we have to ensure that the alignment
Right.
of all the holes across the tank.
Correct.
So we got a device, we call it a special maintenance tool. We put the device, we check because the tank may have gone into various cuts. Wherever it is. So if it got misaligned,
Right.
then the tank will never run straight. So
Correct.
this is a device. So after
Okay,
this
so the
stage,
balancing has to be done. Yeah.
So after this stage, we start, when we fit, we are sure that it will run as a good tank. Similar rebuild happens for the turret. While this is there, you will notice this turret. I'll take you to the blank turret, which is empty first. Right. This is the overall 598. If you just look inside, as of now, the gun and the complete armament has been fitted, but the turret itself is empty.
Correct.
So if you, this is the stage 1. In stage 2, if you look here, so you will see whole lot of components which have come up now.
Oh yeah, so they have been added to it.
So all these components were repaired in the tank electronics bay.
Right.
It got there, the complete cabling.
And this cabling can be new also.
This is totally new.
Totally new.
All cables are new because they have lived their life.
Right.
And these connectors which you see here, they are left open because they are going to mesh with these cables in the hull.
In the hull, okay.
So it's
once it's put on the hull, then it's meshed together. So you're going to show me how they mesh the...
Of course, so that is the most critical part. That the proof of the pudding is that everybody has done their job, and they should. The turret people are working separately.
Right.
The hull is being prepared separately, and they have to mesh.
Yeah.
So the meshing is the main aspect, because after the meshing, then it goes for road trials.
Sure.
And then, of course, certain defects do come up because and we repairs.
And so many components to again
like
mesh
I mentioned,
together.
it is more than 200 assemblies with 8,000 components. Like you see now, this is a tank which has been prepared. Yeah, you can go up.
Come.
So as you can just take your, this is my assembly bay.
Okay.
So as you can notice, the entire tanks are being lined up for preparation.
Right.
While this particular tank, you saw it was getting rebuilt. Now the components have started filling up.
Right.
There's a proper sequence of fitting all the assemblies,
Correct.
starting with the pipelines, the cables, then we assemble. At this stage, the engine is being put.
Okay.
So
and the
the
engine goes there?
It goes there.
I see.
The gearbox has already gone in. The intermediate gearbox has gone in.
Right.
Whole lot of cables have come in, pipelines, and now the stages come wherein the gearbox, the engine will be put in, and then it will be put on tracks and taken to that semi-final mode.
Oh, there. Okay.
And then
the seats and all that for the crew will come.
That will come up
much
much later.
Right.
This is the way. This is the sprocket. Now every tank has got some. All like I showed you a particular assembly.
Yeah.
All these assemblies are manufactured in different repair shops.
Sure.
And they are fed here
Right.
because they are assembling. So
Correct.
they need their assemblies to feed and assemble the thing on the tank.
Correct.
And that's a particular sequence they have to follow. So we have to be timed in that manner.
Exactly. So that it's done there, then
Exactly.
comes.
So it's a proper. We call it
So
a.
you have a timetable
We call
kind of a
it WPI, a process cycle, which a timetable based on a PERT chart or a Gantt chart.
Oh, I see.
And it is a proper technical method wherein we monitor each and every assembly.
Right.
And if you notice at the end, that is the place the meshing and integration is happening.
So the turret is being put into this.
Exactly.
And
That-
all the cables.
The
then
cables,
get
as you can
meshed.
notice, are hanging as of now.
Right.
So first, the turret will be lowered.
Right.
It'll be fitted. You can lower it.
Yeah.
So this is another very, very precise process.
Yeah.
Because it has
So
to.
he is lowering it from here.
Yeah. So once it is lowered with a lot of care,
Sure.
each and every part has to be now connected.
Yeah. Obviously, it has to.
All
go
those
down.
cables which are hanging.
So
are
they will now. Somebody will go down. there?
Exactly.
Okay.
So this, the driver, as it is, the tank is actually compartmentalized.
Sure.
Before, it is a driver compartment, there is a fighting compartment, there is a engine compartment.
Engine, yeah, sure.
So we put bulkhead plates, we call them, but that is a much later. As of now, it's all open to be accessed from inside.
Sure. Also, so he goes from inside.
Exactly.
And then they start meshing them.
Exactly.
All the cables start getting meshed there.
Cables and all the electronics, all components have, because
then they have to also, the software has to talk to each other.
exactly. So the turret has to traverse.
Right.
So the traversing mechanism already installed here,
Sure.
but it has to mesh with the electronic part, which will give the signal to a traverse. So that software versus the hardware has to mesh.
Right.
That is the way. So this is
the final
this is the final stage.
critical stage.
And from here we take it for trials
Take it
and
for
then feed it to the
That's
formation.
wonderful. So it's actually like a shop floor. It is a shop floor.
It is a factory.
shop floor. It is a factory.
So
Wonderful.
so we've come
That
to end
completes
of
the process. yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful tour, very educative. I
most
hope
welcome.
people will also understand how critical and how complicated these processes are.
Of course.
So thank you for your time. That was Brigadier Ashish Johar of the Army Base Workshop 505 Army Base Workshop in Delhi, taking us through the process of how tanks are stripped completely to its nuts and bolts and finally reassembled after all the tests are done and made as good as new, as the DG AME General Sirana also told us during that interview separately. But this is the process that is more interesting and more crucial for maintaining Indian Army's armor power, or punch as they call it in the army parlance. Thanks for watching. Keep watching Bharat Shakti, and of course we'll keep bringing you these interesting tours of what we call on the shop floor series.